Right now on Fox 43 Featured, the Jewish Federation of Harrisburg is selling one of its campuses amid financial struggles, how the organization plans to move forward with operations. Plus, a new Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruling treats skill games like slot machines, what it means for businesses that will no longer be allowed to have them. And with the Dolphin Highlands golf courses closing this fall, a new data center may be built on the property, how golfers are reacting to the loss. Thanks for joining us for Fox 43 Featured. I'm Natalie Caranda. For the next half hour, we'll be recapping some of our top stories of the week. The Alexander Grass Campus for Jewish Life in Harrisburg is officially on the market as the Jewish Federation of Greater Harrisburg fights to avoid filing for bankruptcy and overcome $10 million in debt. And as Fox 43's Sydney Nauman shows us, the community isn't waiting for a new set of walls to come together.
A locked door usually sends people looking for another way in, but after years of mounting debt, leaders of the Jewish Federation of Greater Harrisburg aren't searching for a new entrance. They're wondering if the community needed an invitation in the first place.
But initially will be more of like a Jewish community center without walls.
This closure wasn't part of the plan. When the Federation purchased the Alexander Grass Campus for Jewish Life just 4 years ago, they hoped to create a centralized hub for the community. Instead, over-budget renovations, donors who backed out, and a property that sold $1 million short left them with nearly $10 million in debt.
I wish I could say it was one thing. It was a combination of many things, a perfect storm that led us to this.
Sam Levine is part of the Federation's transition committee and says now that the 6-building complex is up for sale, he hopes those funds paired with a community fundraising effort will help the organization avoid filing for bankruptcy.
This is going to be kind of a crawl, walk, run situation. Our first objective is to get out of debt, to pay the vendors who are owed money, to sell the building, pay off the mortgage. And then from there, we'll take it slow.
Senior programming and other special events will continue as the Federation utilizes partnerships with nearby synagogues. However, the center has had to cut other programs, including summer camps and the closure of its Simmons Family Fitness Center. Levine says despite the transition, what hasn't been interrupted is the community.
This kind of hit them in the gut. They didn't see it coming. Individuals have volunteered to mow the lawn, take out the trash. The community's really come together in a crisis.
The transition committee says it hopes to sell quickly and rebuild slowly. Still, the community isn't waiting, because as it turns out, the key isn't finding another way in, but building a community that knows no bounds. Sydney Nauman, Fox 43 News.
The York Revolution canceled and forfeited its game on Thursday night after it says its players refused to wear a special jersey on the team's scheduled Pride Night. The team announced Thursday morning that its game against the Southern Maryland Blue Claws would not be played and that a special Pride celebration would be held at the ballpark instead. The night was in partnership with the Rainbow Rose Center, whose director says she was disappointed that the community would not be able to be acknowledged.
Why are we going to bring our community into a stadium and cheer on a team that doesn't want to play for us? So instead, the team isn't playing for us and we're still going and we're still having a celebration of community.
The Revs organization says it remains committed to serving the whole of the York community and made a $10,000 donation to Rainbow Rose. The question of whether skill games operate as unlicensed and unregulated slot machines has been answered. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court concluded that the electronic machines meet the state's legal definition of slot machines and therefore fall under the state's gaming laws. There are an estimated 70,000 skill game machines operating throughout the Commonwealth, according to Attorney General Dave Sunday. They can be found in gas stations, convenience stores, taverns, and other small businesses. Many VFW posts rely on the machines to stay afloat and provide the services to the community. One person we spoke with representing the VFW Department of Pennsylvania says lawmakers should consider investing in the electronic pool tabs, which are not allowed to replicate slot machines or skill games.
Moving into the E-tab world, which should fall right under the small games of chance laws that we have right now, just gives another tool in our toolbox to help generate funds to put back into our communities.
Several legislators have voiced their opinion on the ruling. You can read their thoughts on fox43.com. Advocates for domestic violence and sexual assault survivors gathered at the state capitol this week, urging lawmakers to increase funding for services as budget negotiations continue. Organizations including the Pennsylvania Coalition Against Domestic Violence and the Pennsylvania Coalition to Advance Respect called for a combined $20.5 million in additional state funding. Advocates say the programs across the Commonwealth are facing rising costs and increased demand while working to support survivors of abuse.
Our programs are working on very shoestring budgets. They're over capacity when it comes to advocates. They are spending a lot of time and dedication for survivors, and they really need to. Lawmakers need to understand that in order to continue to provide those robust services, the budget has to be increased.
According to the Pennsylvania Coalition Against Domestic Violence, survivors are the largest group waiting for housing resources in the state and often face the longest delays. A Lancaster County church held a gun disposal event that aims to safely dispose of unused firearms and turn them into something new. The event at St. Thomas Episcopal Church in Ephrata let visitors bring firearms to safely unloaded and disposed of at a chop saw station. From there, the guns were cut into pieces to be used by blacksmiths to transform them into garden tools. Staff say the event isn't just about making gardeners happy, it's about making neighborhoods safer.
Peace is something that is possible, and that gun violence is an issue, that there are more guns than people, and we're not looking to take guns away from responsible gun owners. Instead, what we're trying to do is to help people who don't know what to do of their unwanted firearms, and also to try to take guns off the street where maybe it would be used for purposes of violence.
The event was done in collaboration with Raw Tools Philly, who runs events like this across the country as part of its Guns to Gardens initiative. Pennsylvania State Police are releasing the results of a statewide enforcement campaign for Paul Miller's Law, which bans the use of handheld mobile devices while driving to reduce distracted driving. PSP says it issued 694 citations and there were more than 300 warnings during Operation Hands Off, which took place June 8th through the 10th. It comes after a year-long warning period for Paul Miller's Law that ended on June 5th. Troopers say during that time they issued more than 1,600 warnings to distracted drivers. The Dolphin Highlands golf course will be closing in October after county officials finalized a deal to sell the property to a Texas-based company looking to build a data center. Fox 43's Matt Kleinman spoke with golfers about the announcement and examines what comes next for the course.
Golfers are teeing off at Dolphin Highlands, trying to take advantage of their final season at the golf course.
Just a crying shame this beautiful land is going to computers.
The Dauphin County General Authority announced this week that the Dolphin Highlands Golf Course will officially close on October 12th to pave way for a data center. The announcement comes weeks after officials signed an agreement that allowed the golf course to be shut down before the end of 2027. Len Donahue says he was disappointed by the decision, adding that he and his friends play at Dolphin Highlands around 4 to 5 times a week.
Our group is kind of around the perimeter. There's no golf course that is singularly close enough for all of us to continue to play together 5 days a week.
Back in August, the General Authority reported that Dolphin Highlands had accrued around $13 million in debt. Bob Stair says many golfers remain skeptical about that report.
I just would like to know how you do 50,000 rounds of golf a year and lose money. I don't know. I don't think it's possible.
It's something that we haven't wanted to do. We just didn't have a choice.
General Authority Vice Chair David Shannon says Dolphin Highlands rarely broke even and was unable to cover its maintenance costs. He argues selling the golf course will not only pay off the debt, but bring in more revenue for schools and local services.
In other areas of the United States, Virginia, for example, has some areas where the property tax changes have been perceived as a windfall.
County officials say they will continue normal golf course operations until October 12th and will work to get partial refunds for club members.
It's all about money, and that's what this is about.
Matt Kleinden's Fox 43 News.
A bill that would give municipalities a pause button for data centers has passed unanimously in a state House committee. House Bill 2496 would give municipalities the ability to put up a 180-day pause on data center application considerations, giving them time to adopt, amend, or repeal parts of land use ordinances. Sponsors say the bill gives local officials more time to consider the safety and logistic of local zoning laws. The bill is expected to pass in the House as early as next week. A potential ban on most hemp products could have a big impact on some local businesses. What those businesses say about the ban and what they want to see happen instead. The hemp industry in Pennsylvania and across the country could be dramatically impacted by a new ban set to be enacted in November. Today, Fox 43's Evan Forrester takes a look at some local hemp businesses who say the ban could virtually destroy their livelihood.
Hemp businesses in Pennsylvania are facing an existential threat.
I mean, it's the entire business.
Oh, it'd be devastating for sure.
The ban, if it goes into effect in November of 2026, will basically eliminate this entire business.
The bill to end last year's federal government shutdown includes an impending nationwide ban on virtually all intoxicating hemp products. The hemp provision was introduced by Kentucky U.S. Senator Mitch McConnell, who says the goal is to keep unregulated synthetic products off the market. But the ban also covers natural products that growers and business owners say are not only safe but have legitimate medical use.
We have the backing of medical professionals in Lancaster and Pennsylvania and across the country that refer their patients to us for pain relief. Now, I'm a registered nurse myself. I'm also a cannabis educator. So I take what we do here very seriously.
Heather Kreider is the co-owner of Hempfield Botanicals in Lancaster, which sells hemp-based creams, oils, and other items that she says should not be grouped with synthetic products.
We're doing the right things here. However, those bad players are not, and they're the ones that are causing the issues.
Her business also sells hemp beverages that are pitched as an alcohol alternative. They would be criminalized under the new law, which producers like Norman Horn say is a result of stigma around hemp in general.
I just want safe regulation and avoid the option for prohibition because it's not what people are making it out to be.
Horn is among a group of local growers and business owners who have testified to lawmakers in Harrisburg and in Washington about hemp regulations, which have been left virtually unchanged since the passing of the 2018 Farm Bill. That group is led by Endo Cafe co-owner Jake Sittler, who thinks the potential of the hemp industry is too large for lawmakers to ignore.
I'm definitely optimistic that things federally, are we really going to get rid of a $30 billion industry? The consumer demand is there. There's no doubt about it. People are using these products.
Sittler says using hemp products for his own pain relief helped inspire him to not only start Endo, but expand it to 2 locations in Lancaster County. He says that inspiration is also what keeps him fighting for the industry as a whole.
I know that what it's done for my life and how it's helped people, and I'm not going to stop. There's absolutely no reason that my family and I shouldn't be able to continue to operate Endo as is.
Evan Forrester, Fox 43 News.
Senate Bill 49, a bill that would have aligned Pennsylvania's hemp laws with federal regulations, was voted down earlier this month. And both Sittler and Kreider welcomed the vote, saying it gives the Commonwealth an opportunity to create what they call common sense regulations on hemp products before the federal ban goes into effect. The language in that federal bill allows for amendments to be made ahead of the November deadline. While prior legislation has been proposed, none have been put up for a full vote. A virus deadly to cows is beginning to cause concern for Pennsylvania cattle farmers, how they're preparing for the potential spread. With cases of the New World screwworm now confirmed in Texas and New Mexico, Pennsylvania agriculture officials are taking the steps to keep the destructive pest out of the Commonwealth. Fox 43's Kyle Ennis spoke with the state veterinarian and a local farmer about what's at stake here at home.
They're called New World screwworms, something 4-decade farmer Bob Boyce remembers well.
This fly is not a new thing. We've had invasions in the past. Probably the most recent was 50 years ago in 66.
It's a pest many farmers thought was a thing of the past. With cases now confirmed in Texas and New Mexico, Pennsylvania officials are moving to keep it out of the Commonwealth.
There's a low risk here in Pennsylvania, but we want to be proactive to prevent introduction of this disease here. The quarantine order that establishes movement restrictions and requirements for animals coming from affected areas.
The New World screwworm is a destructive pest. When the flies lay their eggs, the maggots hatch and burrow into the flesh of living animals, causing serious and sometimes deadly damage. It can affect livestock, pets, wildlife, and in rare cases, people.
What's unique about New World screwworm is that it can invade living tissue, whereas most flies will only feed on dead tissue.
At Lil Ponderosa Beef, an all-natural farm, Boy says observation is the best defense.
Observation every day of your herd is the best preventive care I can give them.
Officials say the risk to people remains low, but they're not taking any chances. The Department of Agriculture is working with other state agencies to monitor the threat and help prevent it from spreading. And for farmers, the message is to stay aware, but not alarmed.
This is not a disease. It's not any reason to panic. This is an insect. You're only going to have the problem if you have the insect.
Kyle Ennis, Fox 43 News.
The Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection has identified a case of West Nile virus in York County. The DEP says one mosquito carrying the disease was tracked in Conewago Township, but so far it is the only confirmed case across south central Pennsylvania. Cases have been confirmed in seven other counties across the Commonwealth. The number of cases typically rise toward the end of the summer. However, officials say it is important to protect against it anytime you are outdoors. You can do so by using mosquito repellent with DEET. The New York Knicks are now the NBA champions after 53 years, while fans say they took to the streets to celebrate with the team and the others in the city. Thursday was a day that New York basketball fans have been waiting for years. An NBA title, and with it, the city's first ever Knicks championship parade. Fox 43's Ryan Yee was in the middle of all the fun and shows us just how special that historic day was for New York fans everywhere.
A day decades in the making for Knicks fans.
We've been waiting a whole lifetime for this. My whole life. Amazing.
For the first time ever, the NBA's championship team is paraded through the streets of New York City.
I didn't think I'd see it in my whole life, man, but we're here now. The Larry O'Brien, man, I still feel like I'm dreaming. It doesn't feel real.
1973 was the last time the Knicks won it all, 1970 before that. However, neither came with the parade or this type of celebration. That changed on Thursday.
It's like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, man. Yeah, 53 years. The first time is right now.
The parade made its way from here at Battery Park all the way up Broadway to City Hall on what any normal day would be called the Canyon of Heroes. But on this historic day, Champions Way, they're calling it, for this all-time celebration for the first Knicks title in 53 years. Every inch of that 1 mile parade route, a sea of orange and blue.
Everybody's happy, everybody's cheerful. I'm super happy. Nothing could bring me down from this moment. So it's amazing. I hope it stays like this for a very long time. Go Knicks.
A sentiment shared by all Knicks fans, from New York royalty to the diehards, from the old generation to the new.
It's pretty surreal. I never thought this was going to happen, and to share it with my 7-year-old, I'm really, really happy to make this a core memory for her.
We're not pretty high, maybe first place, second place, plus. Yeah, because it's been 53 years, and we got to experience.
Uniting a city.
Bigger than basketball, man. It just shows how one basketball team, how one beautiful thing can just unite a whole city.
On a day that will go down in the history books for all New Yorkers.
Once a New Yorker, always a New Yorker. We were coming home for this.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
No other place like this. It's New York or nowhere.
Exactly.
It's New York or nowhere.
New York or nowhere.
Ryan Yee, Fox 43.
Iron Hill Brewery will continue its comeback in PA after shutting down all its locations last year. The company says its Huntington Valley location is set to reopen on June 22nd, with its Lancaster location expected to be open next after that in the coming weeks. The brewery chain abruptly announced that it was closing its locations last fall and filing for bankruptcy. Since then, it has reopened a number of locations, including the Dairy Township restaurant. That's going to do it for Fox 43 Featured. Thanks for spending part of your day with us, and have a good one.